It's December 6th, 2017. I think we have a final bid win on Copart for a 96 Mazda Miata out of Florida. So I'm assuming it's not going to have very much rust or any because it is a Florida car. So we will see when we get it. Hopefully I should get that in the next week. So with that, I can start tearing the Pontiac Astre apart, start bagging the parts and getting everything ready so that when that comes, we can start taking the Miata apart, and then we can start measuring and see how we can graph these two together. Well, we had about an hour. Got a little progress. Had to stop and help the wife with something, so back at it. Got the bumper mounts, all that stuff off, and the grills out and put away safely because they are probably almost impossible to find. There's some few pot metal flaky holes in them, but I think it's something that's easy to get fixed. So just a little bit of rust in the front sheet metal, but I don't think that'll be a thing that we can't take care of. Here we can kind of see, probably got too much light on, a little bit of rust, just surface rust around the grill shell. Even better on this side, but you can see this car was never hit. The bolts for the bumper had never been taken off, so PB Blaster is our friend. But now you can start to see some of the rust underneath the battery box area and how it can just kind of destroy a whole subframe. Now with the front end removed, we can get a little bit of better idea of the extent of the damage due to rust. So I don't think the car was ever hit, and the sheet metal they took up on the front, I don't think it's ever been removed. So just a lot of rust. Probably could repair it, but I think in the long run, when the Miata gets here, it's going to be a lot more cost effective, and we'll end up with a lot better car when we're done. So that's the bottom of the battery tray. You can see that contour is supposed to be there. And you can see, whoa, there's the frame rail as it slowly morphs out of there. And that is also where the bumper was mounted. And these two bolts in the back, that's what I was talking about earlier. That's where the idler arm mount is, and you know, if you've got this much flexion up here, just with a finger, how much is it going to be with the steering box? Moving the drag link back and forth. So we have a little time, probably a week or so, till the Miata gets here, so we're just going to keep tearing this apart and seeing what we got. So we're setting up, we're getting close to the Christmas holidays now. Today is Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 2017. So we will keep plugging along on this until it comes. And then the owner, hopefully Mr. Bubba, will be up here during Christmas holidays, and we're going to yank the motor and start getting it ready to turn into, we don't know what we're going to call it yet. So just a little bit more to show where the battery box rats destroyed the metal. So this whole area in here, of course you can see is gone, but this frame part, if we can use that for the Miata to attach into, we can just cut it off here. We got all good metal. So just another idea of what we've got and what we're working with. So got the hood off. I like working, I'm used to work on A-bodies and square body pickups, so those hoods are a lot heavier. This one was pretty light. Lightest I've had so far is that little BMW 325i. So we'll start taking the AC system off. If it is not charged, if it is charged, we'll have to have somebody come in and charge it. So we have the front end off now. All the sheet metal is safely tucked away on the back side of the car. So now we can start looking at what we do have. And this is the point where I want to actually start measuring stuff. So here I'm just doing a quick check to double check everything. So approximately center line of the front wheel, using a little magnet, 97 inches. So we come back to here, which shows 71, approximately 71 3/4. and the plumb bob for the center of the axle is there. So shows that our wheelbase is approximately 97 inches, and when we do finally cut this all apart and start putting it back together, we can use the very front edge, probably won't show up real well, the very front edge of the rocker, because that will stay. Rocker, pinch weld, things like that. So we know we're going to be 5 foot or 71 3/4 inches to the rear axle, and 20, I have to do math in my head, 25 1/4 to the front axle. So what I'm working on now is I want a reference system for the car. So since we're going to be removing basically the front frame horns, all the mounting points for the front suspension, we're not going to know where that front axle goes. So we've picked up something from the bottom, which is the very front of the rocker panels. So we're going to use that corner. So we've verified that the wheelbase is 97 inches, which is the specification. So now what I'm doing is I've run a long, flat, straight bar, relatively straight. I use it for cutting plywood, whatever. And I've run plumb bobs down to my couple dollar Harbor Freight magnets. So I picked up on both sides the center line of the front axle. So going from the center line of the front axle, I've used that straight edge portion and clamped it, of course, on both sides. And now I know, okay, that is the center line of my front axle. So what I plan on doing is heavily scribing that area, because I want to keep this portion. This is where the front fenders bolt on for the Pontiac. So we're going to try to keep that and keep as much as this down here, and hopefully we can tie that all in to the Miata front subframe. So we'll probably have to take out some of the cowl area where the air comes in, of course some feeds around through. Probably have to take some of this out to put in the Miata portion, and of course we're going to keep where the doors mount, so that all stays the same. So what we're trying to do is keep this portion, because of course on the other side, right in this area, is where the VIN plate is. So we have to keep that. Try to keep as much as this possible, but then graft in the Miata portion. So the last part that I needed was a permanent reference frame for the body. So what I found is this seal that seals the back of the hood to the cowl. There's a hole right in the center, and it's probably within a 1/16 of an inch. So I figured that's close enough. So what I did was permanently mount a nut and bolt there, so that I can measure from this back over to this corner here. So I found that right now this is square. So what I use that is for the future, I can always recheck my line to make sure, hey, these are right. I've got a square up here, so that when I go to pick up my final center line of my front axle, when we start mocking up and finalizing, when we put the front end of the Miata on, then we'll have a reference frame. And what I plan on using is just lining up the floor pans. Hopefully there isn't too much difference in height from the ground up, but I have a feeling that this will definitely lower the car. But the nice thing about the Miatas is they have strut suspension, so you can get inexpensive to wild and crazy coilovers to put on that to be able to fine-tune the ride height to what we want. I don't know how well this is going to work, but I really like SketchUp, so I'm using SketchUp, and I've added in the dimensions from the center of the cowl down to the center line, just to kind of as a reference for myself. But it shows the wheelbase. Let me get rid of all my guides. There we go. Makes it a little bit easier to see. But it shows where the rocker is, where the pinch weld is, what the widths are, things like that. So just a sketch for us for the future, so that we have an idea where everything's at, where everything should go back to. I think you can see a little bit more of what my craziness is. So what I did was added the plumb bobs and little bolts and some super magnets. Try to find the center of the hub. And then what I've done is come up here and scribed as heavy as I can where that is, and that should give us a very good reference for the future. We'll try it out and see. Of course, we'll know in hopefully a couple months. So distance from there to the outside edge, the surface on that line is 28 7/8, both sides. So this is where we're going to end up for today, December 7th, 2017. Try to put this all together, put a quick video up so Bubba can see it and whoever else is interested can see it. I guess what you're supposed to say now is please give us a thumbs up and subscribe